Welcome to Creative Conversations, where I ask, what does the word creativity mean to you? I'm Nina Lenton, and I'm here with Emma Kisby, who is the founder of Face2Face Maidenhead.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So tell me, Emma, can you briefly tell me about what led you to set up Face2Face Maidenhead?
Oh gosh, you want me to briefly tell you? I will do my best. So in a very quick nutshell, really, I am very creative, and I have been blogging, more of a hobby, on and off for probably about 15-ish years. And I had a day job alongside of that. So it was, I did it as sort of a freelance thing, but not very regularly. But a few years ago, pre-COVID, I set up a lifestyle blog. And I noticed that alongside kind of setting up Instagram and social media, that I was getting some traction and some interest from local brands and businesses. And they were kind of reaching out and wanted to work with me. And I was kind of seeing another world to this blogging, traditional blogging that I know of, is now kind of very much on the social media platforms. Sort of fast forward a little bit. I was having a chat to a local business friend of mine, and I said, look, I'm not happy in my current day job. What I really want to do is set up a local service for my hometown in Maidenhead. And she kind of came up with this idea of, putting videos as on a business directory and calling it Face2Face Maidenhead. So it's all about the face behind the business and getting to know, these business owners, which was an absolutely wonderful idea, and I actually went away and set it all up there and then. But it's evolved a lot. We've had COVID since, and everybody is on video these days. They seem to be doing TikTok and Reels and YouTube and whatnot. So the video side of it is just a very small part of it. And it is now much more than a business directory, which is always going to be quite a vibrant, almost like a blog zine, an editorial about every business. So not just a video, but a Q&A on there and, nice photos and images. But it's now also like what I'd say a hub for Maidenhead. So it's got lots of events on there and upcoming, what's going on. So people can kind of go to it and go, oh, what's on this weekend, or what's on this month, or seasonal events.
Yes.
And alongside that, I've taken it offline and I run business networking too. So I do Face2Face Maidenhead business networking. So, yeah.
Which is a very nice event to attend.
Yes. And that's how we met, which is really lovely. The power of networking. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you for explaining that. So obviously I'm talking here about creativity. So one of the things that you said to me on your sort of explanation of yourself and what you do, was about how you'd started off doing creative writing, and that writing obviously forms a large part of what you do. Can you tell me a bit more about that and about your, I don't know, about perhaps your writing habits, or where you see writing fitting into what you do in terms of creativity?
Yeah. So it's changed a lot. So, back when I was younger, I used to write a lot. I used to sit. I remember being a teenager and I used to go home and write a short story in an evening. And then I would take it into school the next day and pass it around. Everybody read it. And then I'd go home the next night and write another one. And, I loved writing, just making up, these fictional stories. As I've got older and, life gets in the way and you have children and things like I feel like that side of me is kind of pushed aside a little bit. And I write more kind of factually now. So it is or, well, I do and I do. So I've got the two blogs. So I've got my website, which is very much, about things, about stuff that's going on. But I love creating it from scratch. It's something that I've created, and all the content there is mine. It's my voice. And then my blog is very storytelling. So I am a real storyteller. Even when I write my Instagram posts or my LinkedIn post, I love telling a story. I won't just put an image without a reason why, so, I do kind of wander off in my own mind and do all that. So where I can write, I will. And even like my email's huge because I will write and write and write. But I always kind of thought, maybe one day I will write a book or, do something more fictional. So that's less so at the moment. But yeah, that creativity is there. Yeah.
So, but something you might come back to in terms of the creative writing, maybe.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's nice that you've been able to weave that in. Well, that actually your business has kind of formed from that, even.
Yes. Yeah. And it always was. I mean, when my friends said, have a business directory and put videos on there, the first thing I said was, but I'm a blogger. I write. And that was always going to be, I mean, with websites anyway, Google likes words, that's what it's looking for. YouTube is the second biggest search engine, and that likes the videos. So obviously it ties in. However, the writing side was always going to be the biggest part. And I was never going to create a business directory, which was just an entry, like a yellow pages type, this is a link to this business. It was always going to be a full page. And I write it as well. I go away and I'll research. I don't have to. I've chosen to do it this way. I probably created a long-winded way of doing things, but, I will go away and I will research. I'll look at their websites. I'll look at who the business is. And the one thing that I have learned, which, I always thought I'm very creative. I like kind of going off and writing nice, pretty blogs about different things. But the one thing I have really learned about myself is that I'm really interested in other people's business and what they do and the businesses that they created. And some of the people that created businesses, and it's fascinating. It's another world that I've really learned. Yeah.
Well, there are always so many stories in people's businesses as well, aren't there? Why they created them in the first place and why they choose to do them in the way they do.
Exactly. And you don't even think about it. You just think, that person's a coach, that person's a photographer, but actually they're all so different because they do it in their own way, and they might kind of create something quite bespoke service because it's something they enjoy, it's their strength. And it's really, really interesting. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah. And it looks really, and that's what's actually really nice about the website as well, because it is individual pages where you can go and read a bit more about somebody and see a video and just get a little bit of background into their business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. I mean, rather than just like sticking a review on there that anyone could have written, and also reviews can be negative as well. And I don't want that. I don't like negative reviews. I don't say bad things about small local businesses. We're all about supporting, and I don't like to see that. And, people need to make their own minds up as well. Even when you get a recommendation, everyone has their own personal experience. But if you can read an interview, like a little Q&A, short interview, which just comes from the voice of that business owner, or see a video, then that will help to sway them. Like, do I pick the phone up to see if I want to work with this person or use their service? So it gives a little bit of insight before another layer of connection. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People buy from people, and even if it's just a photo of them, and not everybody wants to put a picture on, and not everybody wants to be on camera, and not everybody has a video, and it's all optional, but I do encourage it face to face, show your face so people know who they're buying from.
Yeah. Well, which is something I've learned about myself in the last, I think a couple of years ago, I never even put a photo of me online with my posts, and then until earlier on this year I'd never done any video either, so
wow.
Yes, it's all a kind of
It
all a kind of gradual learning curve, isn't it?
It is.
When you're getting comfortable with doing that sort of thing. So
yeah, but you've embraced that, and even for me as well. You know, when I set up Face2Face, I was going to kind of create this sort of corporate-y type websites when we were very polished and professional. And I thought, actually, I've got to practice what I preach here. It is me, and people need to know who I am. So, and you know, even if you look at social media, and you probably see it yourself, the ones that have got you on them, you know, either, you know, a video of yourself or a photo, they're the ones that get the most traction, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think so.
They are. And people, I think the other thing is when you go to a networking meeting as well, there was something I was at the other day and there was someone I was chatting to and I thought, I'm sure they don't know who I am, but they did because I put so many photos and the odd, you know, and occasional videos, they knew who I was.
And that makes it so much easier. So networking is another one where if you are a bit shy, meet people in person, definitely. That's another way to see the face behind the business, but it does make it so much. And I've had that same experience where I walk into a room in a networking, you know, somebody else's networking meeting. I don't know anyone. And then thankfully somebody will recognize me and it just breaks that ice. It's quite intimidating, isn't it? And you walk in a room, you're like, oh, who do I talk to first?
Well, that's it. You just have to find a friendly looking person and say, it's my first time here, or I don't know anyone. And hopefully, you know, everyone's had their first networking event, haven't they? So everyone can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's all about the face.
So the other part, so for me, when I talk about creativity, I talk about creative expression, which is obviously where writing comes in and some of the visuals around that. But then I also talk about creative thinking. And I know that you're someone you've said to me that you have lots and lots of ideas. Tell me about what life is like having lots of ideas.
Oh, a busy brain. I've learned a lot about me and, you know, I mean, sometimes, so I do think that, and you probably know yourself, you know, creativity comes from different places, doesn't it? And if I sit, you know, I can sit here and think, you know, I work in my kitchen table. I've got, you know, old fashioned notebooks and, you know, I write lots of notes and things where my husband works in IT and he's like, oh, no, you type everything and, you know, don't, you know, use apps for this and that. But I write stuff, you know, I brain dump and all the rest of it. But then it's not until I've gone off to the toilet or gone out a shower or go and put the kettle on that I kind of go, bing!
Yeah.
I'm going to do a reel on this, or I'm going to go and talk to this person. I'm going to do a blog post on this, or So it's a funny one. And they always say another thing that we do, which we kind of put on halt for a little bit, but we're going to start it up again, is networking. And there's a lot of creativity, isn't there? Getting out into nature and so
I mean, I must say as well, I mean, I think there's two things with that, aren't there? There's firstly the beauty of being able to go out and chat to people, and it's a different environment to network in as well. But I suppose for me as well, walking is actually, it tends to be where I tend to do that by myself, and that's where I have lots of ideas and I get inspiration and I take photos and things like that. But equally, you know, networking is brilliant. There was one that I used to go to a few years ago. It was actually around COVID times. And in fact, there's someone I met through that I'm still friends with now, if quite a few years later. So, you never know who you're going to meet when you go to those sorts of things.
No, absolutely. And you're quite right. You know, you get different. So I could think, I've got so much to do today. You know, somebody wants to meet me for a coffee, but do I have time to go into town? That's, you know, it could be a couple of hours out of my day when I've got so much to do. But even just doing that, they could just say a couple of things to me and I'm inspired. I get really inspired by other people. And I never regret taking that time out just to do that, because I think, oh yeah, or I've met that person or I've learned something. And if I was sat in my kitchen on my own, I wouldn't have. But equally, going for a walk by myself, or even just that walk into town or whatever, my brain's going, and so it's different, isn't it? Different again.
It is. Well, and I mean, I think it's a case of getting inspiration from different things, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think, I always find that I don't think any conversation is ever wasted if you take time to have, a 15-minute chat. You can, whether it's because you wanted to talk to that person because you wanted a piece of information or you wanted to know what they do, or actually they say something that you then go, and it sparks your own idea for something you want to write, or, I didn't realise people thought that, or, actually people need that. Maybe I can offer that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everything, and the other place where I get my inspiration, especially for face-to-face, are random Facebook groups when people ask for things. It's amazing how, especially post-COVID, when nobody knew what was open and where to go, or they all wanted parties again, and where can I hire a hall? And I was seeing this a lot. People asked it, so I was like, right, post. And I sat down and I reached out to all like the little local village halls and said, do you mind if I just add your hall or whatever to my listing, link back, you just send me some photos, and I compiled quite an extensive list, which is really handy. And it's other thing, anything that I see people asking for, I think, right, well, I need to solve that problem. So
absolutely. Yeah. So what would you say then are what are the challenges of having lots of ideas?
The challenge for me is there's only one of me. It's a big challenge, actually, because there are some things that obviously everybody has the same thing. We've got to do things, I've got, certain work things to do. And then when you want to do something very creative that isn't necessarily a priority, but it is to you, but it has to go down the list. That can be quite frustrating, can't it?
Yes, it can.
Yes. I mean, even with my second blog, the original blog that I did, it's really taken a back seat because I've had to focus so much on face-to-face. And I think, I've been meaning to write this blog post for 2 years and I still haven't done it. Or, I haven't posted on the Instagram page for, however long. So, yeah, you can't spread yourself too thinly, otherwise you do, it does get too much. So yeah, that's where writing lots of notes comes in handy.
Having that list of ideas somewhere, whether it's online or, whether it's like, I mean, I use OneNote quite a bit.
Yeah.
And or whether it's there or in a notebook or wherever, so that you can always come back to them. I try and keep them in the same place that I can, so that if I'm sort of thinking, all those things that I wanted to write about that I didn't have time, and now suddenly I've got all this time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Then that, right, where was that list again? And you've got to find, if you're anything like me, you're obviously not like me, but mine are all in different. I tend to write my to-do lists, which are a temporary thing. So I'll set what are my goals, what am I doing this week, what do I need to achieve, and what do I need, what have I got to do, and my tasks I have to do, and da-da-da-da. And then it's like, oh yeah, I wrote something. I don't know where that was. It was in that booklet. Was it in that booklet? So yeah, I probably do need to be a little bit more organised.
I actually have a something that started back in my agency days. I actually have a separate book for my to-do list, because I realised, I mean, I was always going into meetings and having, I would go into lots of client meetings and lots of internal meetings for specific projects, and I found that my to-do list would just get lost. So what I did, I just got a separate book, and I still have that now, where I have a to-do list book that has all my stuff to do and my notes on what I'm doing that week, and then another one which is my sort of ideas, and I do mind maps, and I'll do kind of and or if I'm thinking, I might use that one to write. So yeah, definitely I need to do that.
Definitely.
It's just one of those experiments, isn't it? You experiment and then you figure out the best way to make it work.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that might kind of relieve a little bit of the, what's going on up here, because it does help. Because, when you are creative, your mind is busy because and you want to do stuff, and you can't always do stuff. So
so you have to, but you have to find somewhere to put it so that you can come back to it when you have got the time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's the true definition of creative, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, well, we've run out of time. We could carry on talking for a lot longer about creativity and all of that kind of stuff, I think. But
yes.
But we both have children to fetch from school, don't we? So
we do. Yeah.
So I will just say thank you very much for your time. And if anybody who's watching this is local, then it's face2face maidenhead.co.uk with a 2. Yeah. The number 2.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And you'll find me, or anything about Maidenhead, and I'm very much sort of active on social media as well. And yeah, lovely.
Excellent.
Well, thank you. It's been really good to chat. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And look out for the podcast as well, because that's coming, whatever it's going to be called.